Since Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999, the electoral system has evolved significantly, making appreciable improvements that seek to address concerns bordering on electoral irregularities. Introducing technology in the electoral process has marked a significant watershed, particularly in 2015 when the card reader featured prominently. Boosting public confidence in the electoral process ranks among the key reasons for introducing these advanced technologies. Checking voter apathy and the general belief that the votes of the public do not count now seems to be fast fading out with the introduction of technology in the voting process. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Mahmood Yakubu, in an event held in Lagos recently said the electoral umpire would deploy appropriate technology to, quote, protect the sanctity of the choices made by Nigerians at the polls, end of quote. The country has since moved from the smart card reader to bimodal voter accreditation system, or BVAS, with its dual fingerprint and facial biometric accreditation process to ensure that only genuine voters are accredited to vote during an election. This technology will be deployed from voter registration to voter accreditation and result management, curtailing the incidence of multiple voting and other sharp practices associated with Nigerian elections. BVAS is indeed a game changer if it works perfectly during the next elections. This has already fueled speculation that the government of the day is not sanctioning the new technology, prompting a reaction from the presidential spokesperson, Femi Adesina.
Recently, there was one group that said the chairman of INEC was going to be removed because maybe the government didn't want leaders. How many times has the president spoken about the role of technology in getting him into office? He has spoken about it locally, internationally, that 3 times he contested, 3 times he ended at the Supreme Court because the government of the day and their cohorts would just write results. They never voted. He said until technology came and there was a permanent voter's card, and so it was difficult to write results. So how and why can the same person now have issues with the BVAS?
You welcome back. You've had a mini feature. We want to thank God for technology. Technology has really helped us in this process that we are. Time it was that you want to vote, it's just a piece of paper like this that one officer will just sign and put a stamp, bam, shikenan. They will tell you to go to a booth and you vote. They will start counting this piece of paper. Before they start counting, along the line, there are some people who will join, who will put in snuffing, do all sorts of magic. That ballot box will get belly, it will swell. And of course, they will be counting pieces of paper. Of course, to who? But thank God for technology, we have introduced a whole lot. Till, of course, now it has a name, and of course a color, and of course a number to each polling unit. So that has reduced issues of voter ballot box snatching and all sort of nonsense. Then to now crown it up, we now introduce BVAS, which is the bimodal voter accreditation system, and of course IREV, in which as soon as the election result is pasted, that's it, you send it to the server. That's what they are doing now. Shikenan, they get it in the INEC portal central, so no mago now. But then how do we get there? I have my guest on the studio, Femi Onokoren. He's a computer and he's a technologist in this area. He will break it down for us, and of course for our own understanding. Don't worry, me too, I'm like you. I know no book. Ogawe no book. Teach us now. You are welcome to this program.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
I appreciate the opportunity given by Voters Forum to speak on the matter and try to, share what we know and educate the public regarding the transition of the country from manual voting and then the use of technology and, electronic technology.
I know you bring your own grammar. I know no book. I like that language. Transition from manual to
electronic,
I clap for you. You know book. We have teachers.
No, okay. So, it's a very interesting process in the voting space, election space generally.
Yes.
There are a couple of critical stakeholders. There is the electorate, there is the umpire, in our case, which happens to be INEC. There are the political parties and aspirants, the different bodies. There are the CSOs as well, the civil society organizations and all. And there are election monitoring boards. Now, all these group of people come together, and the critical end is to produce transparent, right, elections that actually represents what the people voted for.
Yeah.
Previously we had manual system, and like you said earlier, it was rife with a lot of different issues. We had overcounting, poor voters identity management. I mean, people were more concerned about incidents of ballot snatching and all, but the fact is we didn't have an automated way of keeping records, right, of capturing both identity, right, and also the votes that have been cast,
and the actual votes.
And the actual votes. So definitely that led to a lot of voters' apathy, because you're not sure that what you're doing, is actually what's being given as a result. And this led INEC to introduce a couple of technologies into the whole election cycle. We started from doing electronic registration, so basically try to capture identities, fingerprints with AFIS, system, the smart card reader, the introduction of the PVC, and we saw that with this, the incidence of such collation issues and identity issues reduced, and we had the electorate had a bit more confidence in the system, which we can see translated into the number of people. This is unprecedented number of people who have registered, and have collected their PVC in our history as a country. So currently, in the next electoral cycle, we'll be having the BVAS introduction. It has already been tested in over 100 situations, but it's going to be mass pushed out, as it were, for the election. And then INEC has also deployed IREV, which is also an interesting portal, because as BVAS, which is the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System, as BVAS helps you to ensure that the identity, right, of the voter is credible, it's the one that was captured in the database, right? IREV helps that the results that you get at each of the polling units, right, are transmitted not just to INEC, which it could do on its own, but there's a portal that you could register, and where citizens can actually go and view results at some of these polling units, and it gives a sense of confidence to the electorate that, look, I am involved in the process. We also have a couple of technology experts, like our company, for instance, developed a solution that what it does is voters inclusion. So what it does is real-time engagement, for voters. You give, just like INEC has agents, right, it's officials, and parties have agents. The voters also become part of the system. So they become independent electoral, observers, and they give real-time feedback on what is actually happening, monitoring INEC, monitoring and it is broadcast real time across board for everyone to see, so you cannot obfuscate. We are narrowing the angle, right, and the opportunity for poor elections, for lack of transparency, for corruption in the we are narrowing it. The people, INEC, the umpire, and as well, the government. Yes, everybody's coming together to try to create credible elections, because whilst it is important to have aspirants and candidates who will speak the nice grammar, who will tell you this is my vision and all, ultimately the business of election is the voting and the results that comes out. And if that process is not transparent and properly captured, then it's all moot and a waste of time.
Good. Do our people, that's the voters now, do they need any special education for them to key into using this technology? Or all they need to do is just to go there and vote? Is there any other? Is there something that the voter needs to become part of this scheme that you have just said?
No, the beauty of technology is that most of the system is automated, right?
Yes.
The back end would have done most of the hard work, and the front end is just so that you can interface. It's much like the use of your phone. There's a lot of technology behind phones, behind the internet, but all most people know is you bring your phone out, you tap it, this is where you want to go to, and then it does its job. So basically, just be there, right? Go to the location, go with your PVC, get accredited, get the database that is going to be matched against is already prepared. So it's just, you just go there, be at ease, present yourself, cast your vote, right, and follow it up through IREB. If you're interested, you can also use other independent solutions like the one I was talking about, that we are developing and that we have developed and we're deploying for the election, which is, on your phone as well, you can give real-time feedback and broadcast it. This is not Twitter, this is not anything. You just tell people, at my polling unit, this is what INEC is doing, this is the result, you can capture exit polls. So it's basically, what we're saying is people should relax, right, and have a bit of confidence in the effort of INEC and in the use of technology. The opportunity for playing around is
that's where I'm going now. Is it possible that this technology can be played around, knowing the politician and some stakeholders who are very smart, trying to manipulate the process to now favor them? Because based on the background, if you remember in 2019, there was this big issue about this the server and various results and so on. Is it possible?
Okay, so I think it's important to clarify some things. Yes. Regarding 2019, the server issue, or some will call it the server gate. The problem was not INEC having a server to store. The issue, which has been addressed in the new electoral laws, the election bill that was passed, is that INEC could have electronic, transmission, could have it within itself, but it is not accepted in law. The law has to accept that whatever is captured electronically can be accepted as true result. And that is really what the issue was. So it's not a case of INEC not having a server, which is what people were saying about that, INEC is hiding server. No, but even if they present the server, the result by law is not acceptable. So now the election bill has actually addressed that particular part. The electoral bill has signed it. So it has covered all that, so there's really no obfuscation. With regard to manipulation of results, technology is very interesting. Much as you have an in-way that you can put your firewalls and all, there are also people who are desperate in trying to create solutions that can bypass your firewall. From all we have seen thus far, the only critical concern we have is the volume of information that is going to be running through the system that INEC has. It has not been tested at such a scale before, and because it's not been tested at such a scale before, of course it means that the opportunity for playing around could come up. But we understand as well that the firewalls, the critical firewalls are in place, right? Currently it's pretty difficult for anyone to try to sabotage, and whoever is trying to sabotage creates a domino effect across board, because if you sabotage for your advantage on this path, right, you're also leaving the back door open for someone else, So but I think INEC has got that critically covered, and most of the other solution providers as well have got that, pretty much covered.
Thank you. Is it possible, maybe if INEC has gotten it critically covered, maybe, well, I know that I was involved in the Ekiti election and the Osho election. Yes, something good came out of it. Along that line, there are still some noise, particularly.
Yes, there will be. I mean, life is not perfect, as it were. There will be, and technology is part of life, so it's not.
So I'm looking. Fortunately, we don't have any off-season election before the general election. But is it possible? Because I remember maybe 2015 or 2015 or 2011, INEC had a mock election in some selected states of the federation. Can we propose such a thing? INEC should, based on what you have just said now.
The truth is this, like I said, the critical concern for most of us, technology advocates in terms of election monitoring, is that, the scale that INEC would have to transit from what it has done already to 176,846 polling units. It's quite, the scale is huge. We're talking 100 of thousands, in terms of scale. So, for what we understand, the need to do that would need to actually be backed by law. And INEC cannot run at scale that kind of mock proceeding without an electoral law. In Kenya, for example, they have a law that gives a stipulated time that you must run across to do all your testing for technology introduction or new policy introduction, right? And a number of countries also have that. We don't have that in our electoral law, and it's something that, as we have been having incremental improvements, you know, in our law, we believe that that also is going to be introduced. However, in fairness to INEC, the ones that they've done so far, they've proven themselves to be credible. No one has had an issue with regards to the electronic end, the technology end of, you know, accreditation, voting, collation, you know, results transmission and all. It's been pretty much transparent. So we would like to give INEC the benefit of the doubt that they would have prepared properly for the skill that is required, you know, for the next elections.
Is it possible we talk to our people who now want to circumvent that they shouldn't, because no doubt there are penalties for this type of people, so that Nigeria can be better? Is it possible we talk to them?
Okay, so like I said from the beginning, there are critical stakeholders in the system, and unfortunately the most important stakeholder, which is the people, that's us, are the ones that play around the most and, you know, are not really serious about it. We can appeal, and INEC is appealing, the federal government is appealing, CSOs are appealing, technology experts are appealing. Look, just go there, do your thing, vote, right, follow it up, and that's all you need to do. But you see, sometimes it goes beyond appeal, and that's why you need systems that self-police. I talked previously about a solution that we developed.
Can you open it up a bit? You just took it up. A system that does what?
That's self-police.
What do you mean by that?
So, okay, so like I told you about a solution that we developed. It's called Hookup, and it's for election monitoring. Now, what it does is, when each individual, right, at the polling unit, each voter is an observer, is a reporter of what is going on. That means that we are now self-policing ourselves. Okay. So if you have backdoors, shenanigans, I don't have backdoors. When you're trying to do yours, I'm reporting it as well, real time, just as you are trying to do your shenanigans. Now, if the system self-polices itself, it's the possibility of having a more transparent, you know, integrity-driven election is better. So as much as we may speak, we should also back up voters' inclusion in the process, you know, with the use of technology, and get voters, right, to also be on the same page, so that I feel that, okay, INEC has brought BVAS, I've done this, oh, but I'm saying I don't know what this guy is doing about that. But I am now here, as I've done I'm putting it up that, oh, this has happened here at this polling unit. INEC officials have concluded accreditation. If someone wants to play a game, I'm already part of the, you know, the system. I'm already supporting the process. So if you are trying, the voice of the many is really what, you know, democracy is about. So if most of us are committed to it, even not just hearing it, we are also being supported with technology, with solutions that give that kind of backing, you know, and give that kind of inclusion to the people. I think, you know, it augurs well, you know, for the country. We hope that we'll be able to we'll be deploying our solution by January. So preparing the entire spectrum, teaching the populace, this is what you need to do. Just go there, just as you are voting, just give us your feedback, and let's share it, broadcast it. If anyone is trying to play games, we are the police. We've already caught you. We, the people, are the police for the system.
Broadcasting it. Broadcasting means technology. Technology needs signal. How do we go? Because I'm one of those who promoted this idea. No doubt I'm still promoting it. I'm still advocating for it. That I don't care. You can't tell me because the ordinary woman in the village has access to the internet, because her children sends money to her and she gets the alert. Even the phone she can talk through the phone, and that's signal. So is there any special signal that will be needed by will-be voters to promote what you just explained to us?
Okay, so
or is just the ordinary signal?
Basically is internet access. Basically, you have different channels, and that just may prove to be a bit more technology heavy for people to understand, but basically is internet access. The electoral law also provides that in the event that technology is limited, access is limited at some locations, that manual transmission and manual listing would take place, and that is equally fine, right? Because you cannot have 100% solution. It's an incremental growth. What we should be glad about and should support is that we have an opportunity to contribute to transparent elections. And INEC is upping its game from time to time. This is the 7th cycle, I think, and it's been getting better in terms of operations for INEC.
Those areas that manual will be deployed, though insignificant, but in some cases they are the rural areas where we have heavy votes. I'm talking from experience. I've been involved in this thing for years. So is there a way that maybe this idea that you are saying can be deployed there? Because to open it up, there was a day I was interviewed in a rural area, and the television station came with one very small equipment, live, and people were telling me they saw me, they saw the interview all over the world. People were calling, they told me they saw me in Australia, they saw me in England, and of course in America. Is it possible that we encourage some tech
all those technologies, right? They are not alien to INEC and to technology groups. But the reason the law created that avenue is to avoid a dispute. Because if that window is not there, then it means that we would have to invalidate those positions. So just imagine if we had a failure of service, globally. We've had it before with Facebook, Twitter, some of the bigger companies who have firewalls. So if we have it, does that mean that we invalidate all votes? Exactly. So the law has just made a provision, but in terms of technology requirement, there is adequate provision in
I'm a pessimist. I'm a pessimist, so I'm looking at how we can go around it, because again, I'm talking at somebody who has been on the field, and I know what our politicians do in the rural area. So that's why I want us to see if either, INEC, civil society leaders, of course, international partners are watching this program. How do we move? How do we go around, circumvent these shenanigans that you introduced, so that we have a perfect outing? It can be perfect. You agree with me that we can have a perfect outing?
Perfection is an ideal, and
it's an idealist.
And the thing about ideals is you aspire to ideals.
I told you.
But to live by ideals,
I am ambitious. I want a better Nigeria.
So do we all. So do we all.
So those who don't want it, we want to see how we can put them behind us, so that whatever their activities and their involvement will be highly minimal.
Yeah, we cage them with technology, and that's what BVAS is doing, that's what IREV is doing, that's what our solution Hookup is doing. We cage them, right, in that position. We make sure that what's it called, that there's no wiggle room for them. They have a lot of wiggle room, which they had before. That's what they were able to do those things. But technology, we choke them.
Okay, let's have some water. Let's just go for a short break and take some water, because I told you I don't know book. He don't teach me so many. He has taught us a lot. Let's take some water. We'll be back again.
As we approach the 2023 general elections, there is need to organize ourselves and stop agonizing. We have been taken for a ride by the political class. We want to organize ourselves, educate ourselves, and be more involved in the political process to ensure that political leaders deliver on their campaign election promises, as well as manage the country well for a better future for our children. The benefits to be derived as a member of this group are enormous, which includes 1. Opportunities to be part of those to interact with candidates in our various constituencies. 2. Training through conferences, seminars, and workshops in respect of democracy and good governance. And 3. Travel opportunities all over the world to attend and be involved in democratic activities for the betterment of humanity in general. Visit votersawareness.org.ng for more information.
You're welcome back. I am full, and I know equally you are full too. But to be fuller, we'll go back to our guest, who will now really take us home. And in taking us home, he will now land us safely because he has taken us high. We are enjoying the altitude, the flight. He will now bring us down. He's a good pilot. But before we go to him, please, we are not able to read, I will not be able to read your text messages today for one reason or the other. But you can be sure that next week, by the grace of God, we'll have them read. Just keep on sending them. We'll read everything together. My brother, the issue here is the cocoa that you have said. We want to be optimistic. Do we build our optimism that technology will not fail us this 2023 general election?
Oh, I think absolutely, absolutely.
See, now we are going somewhere.
You see, the thing is, we can follow the trajectory, right? The incidences that we used to have before that created a lot of voters' apathy and created mistrust and distrust of the system.
As we have just mentioned, voter apathy. Is there a way technology will reduce voter apathy?
Of course, and that comes down to proper the regulator campaign management. So our parties are going to do campaigns, right? And parties will try to push their own agenda. On the other side as well, INEC, right? CSOs, EMBs, that's election monitoring bodies, right? Can also invest and push, that look, I have a solution now. I have tightened up my loose ends. So you guys participate in this process because ultimately your participation is going to help you get the result that you desire.
Mr. Femi Onakaren.
Yes.
In fact, I just want to continue with you, but time will not permit me. We really want to appreciate you for coming.
I've really enjoyed coming to Voters Forum. It's been a pleasure.
We really want to appreciate you for coming, and I hope next when you come knocking at your door, you oblige us swiftly. And really, let me tell you, he just, at the nick of time, he just told him, and that, come, we have this program, are you ready to be with us? He said, yeah, in the interest of the nation, I'll be here. For serving humanity, we appreciate you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure.
That was our package for this week. Till next week, by the grace of God, tell your people, a new program is in town. It's called Voters Forum. It's a light of politics. We will teach you, we will break it down. If what my brother Femi has just done is enough for you to be so confident, he told us that technology no go fail us. Technology dey for ground gidigba. Because of that, you people will think that your election will not count. Forget it. The election will count this time around because of the use of technology. Till next week, stay focused.